Israel is losing the PR war and has decided to turn on the water for some of the Gazans. They're also saying that they're going to suspend their attacks because of the weather. However, Channel 10 News in Israel is saying there's an entirely different reason, and that is that a lot of the soldiers are deserting. It's Shauna, the one person on TikTok that you can count on to read the newspapers from everywhere and bring you much needed information. Although the gang, if you will, Hamas, which makes up 1.5% of the population at most in Palestine, according to the Israeli government, attacked Israelis who were at a rave and also went into the homes of people and unalived them. Unfortunately for Israel and Netanyahu, the world is aware that all of these Palestinians have been forced to live in this open-air prison for decades, and many were born after 2006 when Hamas was quote-unquote elected. Just as a reminder, Hamas was created by Israel. Anyway, like I said, there's a lot of reports, and there are reporters on the ground who are showing the horrific atrocities being committed by the Israeli government against the Palestinians. And it's that real-time video where we're seeing children who have been mutilated by bombs, children who are crying about their siblings who are now gone. I mean, Israel is honestly losing this PR war so badly that even Iran is saying that they're just going to let whatever happen, because Iran can already see that Hamas is winning the PR war, and the best thing for Iran to do is to stay the hell out of it. So let's go ahead and read what Channel 10 News said about the Israeli soldiers. Reinforcing reports of dispute within the military establishment, Hebrew news outlet Channel 10 claimed that there have been mass desertions among soldiers and commanders, as many have reportedly expressed unwillingness to participate in the war. Many reservists have complained about, quote, equipment shortages and, quote, shortcomings in the preparations of the army. I mean, if there's one thing we have learned from the men here on TikTok, strategy escapes them. The understanding that you need equipment and missiles and all of that stuff, again, totally escapes them. Amnesty International is referring to Israel's evacuation request as a, quote, impossible demand, which may amount to forced displacement. The Gazans, or the Israeli Muslims, are saying that their decision is to stay on our land and that they will not flee to Egypt. Now, for those people who have been saying that Egypt will not be opening their borders to the Palestinians, we now understand why. The displacement of Gaza's residents has raised fears over a long-standing Israeli plan to resettle Palestinians in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. When I read this, what I am now understanding is that Israel wants to take Egypt's land as well. Again, this is what Palestine looked like. And when I spoke with that woman in Egypt, she said that Israel took the homes of her family and that she could see the homes of her family across the fence that they took. This right here, where Palestine was, this was full of all Arabs. Again, Judaism is not a nationality, it's a religion. They only made it a nationality so that they could have this land. Before they wanted to settle in Palestine and basically take all this free land, before that, Judaism was considered a religion and it was not considered a nationality. This is why Jewish people were looking to make a settlement in Africa. There was just one section that, a few of the Jewish people who wanted to be here. Because again, it wasn't about, for the Jewish people, at least in the late 1800s, it wasn't about returning to their quote-unquote homeland, but just making a Jewish enclave. That was it. And so it would have been just fine with them to do it in Africa. So just FYI. And people like the older millennial, and this guy thinks he knows what he's talking about when it comes to Israel because he skipped 30 years from 1917 to 1947. He skipped the fact that every single Israeli Jewish person was an illegal immigrant back then. They were all illegal immigrants. Every single one. They were called illegal immigrants. Britain jailed the people that they found on the boats going to Israel because they said they were illegal immigrants. And then they just very, methodically chipped away at the land that the Palestinians had and took it away. And now they're trying to take away the land of the Egyptians by moving 2 million Palestinians to Egypt, which then, of course, would give Israel yet more land.